I don't think the case is all that persuasive that we're at some kind of an ultimate top, right? You don't see a lot of those things lining up that you would expect to see at this time. But, and of course, we picked apart the premise of the idea that this is some kind of geriatric bull market that's been going on for 9.5 years for a few days. Anyway, however, I do think there are some of the atmospheric conditions that often are in place when you do ultimately have some kind of significant peak. So here's what I would point to among those. One is everything is so good right now. The fundamentals are basically all, and everybody agrees that they're pretty good, right? 4% unemployment, consumer confidence extremely high, corporate profits and profit margins at peaks. Well, guess what? That's as a starting point, not that easy to build upon. And in fact, if you have started putting money into stocks when unemployment was 4%, you do a whole lot worse than if you start when it's 8%, right? That's just the way cycles work. But that doesn't mean things are about to end anytime soon. Stocks are not cheap. They've become more cosmetically inexpensive because earnings growth has been so strong. They are not, valuation is not the reason that this is going to fall apart, but the median stock is not a bargain right now. So at least that's the condition that you would expect to see when things do get a little tougher. Here's the chart that I think you're going to have people, a lot of the wags are going to look at the action yesterday where the market kind of labors to get to the old highs 7 months ago. And it gets there for half a second by half a point. And then you lose it and it reverses, and people are going to be talking about a double top. I don't necessarily think there's anything magic about that pattern. However, if you look at previous market tops, 2000, 2007, you had this big climactic momentum high, and then you declined, and you fought your way back up to very close to the old highs, and that's when it was all over.
I think scary when you say it that way.
I think it is funny. It's funny that we're sitting here talking about this in the NASDAQ.
Sure.
Because it reminds me, back in the 1999, God, we're getting old, but 99, there was this, Becky was 4, yeah. There was this euphoria that everybody was buying stocks. This doesn't feel that way. It feels like people are still skeptical. Every night on Fast Money, you guys are knocking holes in the market. You're holding your nose and you're buying stocks.
No, we've been cautiously bullish on that show, by the way. No,
yeah.
but I mean,
you know what I'm saying? It's not everybody's just
different time.
Everything's great throwing money at it.
In terms of sentiment, and I think also just in terms of the fundamentals, the corporate balance sheets are much different. The valuations are tremendously different. There's no comparison, right?
There's no comparison in the aggregates, and there's no comparison in the very largest tech stocks. None whatsoever. Yeah. But as I said, the median stock.
Maybe a couple.
Yes.
The median stock.
You can name them, though. That's the whole thing. Yeah. In 1999.
On one hand, I could probably.
In 1999, there were 500
Commerce
stocks
One, Ariba, ICG, CMGI, all the acronyms.
Right.
The Zaibatsus.
And where are they now?
Kramer made that point last night on Mad Money, your point, that there are still so many haters out there, people who don't believe it.
That's true. The problem is I don't know that you're ever going to get a once-in-a-lifetime, craziest market you're ever going to see type of collective public response. So I might be scarred because in the middle of 2007, I wrote a cover story for Barron's that said, where's the little guy? The little guy's not in the market. What's going on? There's still all this skepticism.
We have the Haynes bottom, now we have the Santoli top.
That's interesting.
That was a very different cycle. There was a lot else going on. It wasn't the stock market that was the problem.
That's why I love you, Mike. You actually fess up to anything you've ever said.
Yeah.
And take full credit for it.
Plenty of it.
But that's an excellent example that other people should follow.
I could blame my editor.
You should.